Well, I never sort of really excelled massively at school. I was always more good sort of with my hands, with my, artistic, so art and sort of technology, building things. A lot of my friends were making plans to go to college, university. It seemed like a lot of people knew exactly the path to go on, and they was working towards that constantly. So I'd had all these different ideas. I wanted to be in the police at one stage, I wanted to do law. I was quite lost at that period of time. I was 16 when I actually finished school and actually started working a full-time job the very same day. So it was quite strange actually. While all my friends were sort of celebrating having left school, I finished school about 3:30 in the afternoon, and I started a full-time job at 6 p.m. I obviously needed to make money. I wanted to be able to save up for a car. I was approaching being able to take driving lessons, so straight working as a waiter initially, and went on to become a bit of a cook. But despite that, I always felt that I was quite entrepreneurial. I was always looking for what can I do, how can I earn lots of money. At that stage it was I want the Ferraris, I want to be a millionaire, no real reasoning behind it. I actually started to look and realise there was something I could do for myself there. I saved up some money, and my mum actually gave me a bit of a loan at this time, and I bought like a mobile catering trailer, the sort of thing that you see at the side of the road with people serving bacon sandwiches and burgers and those types of things. I don't think I was driving at that time, if I recall rightly. So I'd actually get dropped off every day by my mum. She would literally take me at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like almost abandoning me in some sense. She would take me there, unhitch me off a car, and sort of leave me there for the day until sort of 2 or 3 o'clock and come and pick me up. So it actually took off very, very well, quite quickly. And I was earning a lot more money for it as well, working for myself. In fact, just to put this in perspective, I mean, in UK pounds, we were sort of doing £400, £500, £600 a day, which, for people in America, that's, $1,000 a day roughly. You can just imagine going from 1,000 a month to 1,000 a day. Absolutely insane. Basically, one day started just like any other day. Got dropped off at the side of the road by my mum, started there, and everything seemed normal. We had this car pull up, and these 3 guys got out of the car or started ordering some food. Now, everything seemed normal, but I had this sort of gut instinct, if you like, this gut feeling that something didn't quite feel right. And what basically transpired, these guys, actually 2 of them sort of got hold of me, took over the van, and basically all 3 started robbing me, taking everything from the trailer. I remember there was like 2 of them sort of holding me in there, and one of them was sort of taking all the equipment. We had generators obviously giving the trailer the power, all the equipment, money, things like that. They just basically took everything. I think they must have like propped something against the door or something, because it took me a moment to get out, but by the time I did, they were already driven off down the road. I just remember, feeling, really quite intimidated, quite scared by the whole situation, in all honesty. And this one little occurrence, this one, thing that probably lasted 60 seconds maybe, completely changed me as a person. I stopped going out, I stopped being sort of confident with people, I stopped communicating with people, and obviously I did get rid of the trailer, we sold it, and I ended up having to go back into a job working for someone else. So I got a job at a bar at this stage, basically just serving drinks. I was on a very, very low pay. In fact, I was actually earning less now at this stage than when I first left school, and it was actually at this point here that, because of that scenario, I actually started to look for ways to make extra money. And one of the things that I turned to was going online to search on the internet for ways to make some extra money. I started to look at a lot of different things. I started to try a lot of different things, but nothing really totally made sense to me, I've got to be honest. I didn't even really grasp the concept that you could even make money on the internet at this time. I think because I was sort of, I guess, young and naive at this stage, I got overwhelmed with excitement at it all. And because I'd always had this sort of inbuilt way in me that I always strived for bigger and better things, I was gripped very quickly I started to buy a few products, buy a few courses, started watching, a few videos, buying, ebooks, different things like that, and started to really learn as much as I could. I was very much pulled into this whole thing of quick, instant, overnight success, get rich quick. I believed all of this stuff is the truth, looking back. And because I believed it, I was more than happy to just keep throwing money at all these different things that promised it to me. But the reality was that never actually happened. I actually ended up getting another job, leaving the bar and going to work at a construction company. That increased my pay, but by the time this actually happened, I was what I would now sort of describe as very, very obsessed with this prospect of making money on the internet. I tried so many different things though at this stage. I'd become frantically obsessed with it in many respects. I was buying so many different courses, so many different programs, so many different things, probably multiple times a week I was buying something new. I was actually starting to put a lot of these purchases on credit cards. Okay, so the debt started to build up quite quickly, and what actually happened with me, the more debt I got into, the more frantically I was buying, because I was starting to really panic about how I was ever going to pay off that one credit card that I had. And then it moved on to, well, how am I now going to pay off the 2 credit cards that I've got? And it just very much snowballed from that point onwards. I mean, I was in a situation at one stage that I had about 5 credit cards, if I recall right, and 2 bank loans, because I'd maxed everything out, still wanted to keep buying more stuff because I'd still not managed to even make that first dollar on the internet. Got a bank loan, cleared all the credit cards, then used them all again. And this happened twice, to the point where I ended up in this situation in the end where I had in excess of, I can't think the exact figure, but it was in excess of $60,000 in debts on these credit cards. And that was by the time I was about 24 years old. I'd really sort of backed myself up into a corner because of all these debts. There really was no other way out of this than to succeed, because my job was never going to clear those debts. No one was going to be able to help me. And the severity of the matter also at that stage was none of my family knew about this. I'm very close to my mum. I felt if I was to tell her this, she would be completely ashamed of me. So I got this email and it was a little bit different. I remember it still to this very day. The subject line was, "Meet me in London, I'm paying." So this got my attention. I opened up this email and it actually transpired that this guy was going to be attending an internet marketing seminar in London, UK. And this is something that I'd never gone to. In all honesty, at that time, I didn't actually even know that seminars existed for this type of thing. The whole concept was that the first 10 people that got back to him could go to the event, he would buy the ticket and actually meet up with this guy. And so I did end up responding. Remember, again, at this time, I'm not only someone that's probably still quite shy, but also failed to every possible limit, mountains of debt, never made anything work, tried everything, got nowhere. I ended up going to speak to the guy that had got the ticket, and we sort of really hit it off quite well, actually. And he was very forthcoming with a lot of advice and a lot of help, and he introduced me to a lot of people there, and it came to the point where I remember on the weekend, on that evening when I was there, I had all these internet marketing gurus, these rich millionaires that I'd read about for so long, all buying me drinks and all, putting their arms around me and saying, come on, you can do this, you will make it, and giving me these bits of advice. And the one thing really from that changed everything for me, I remember this guy that had got me the ticket to the event that I'd replied to his email. I remember he was about to leave, and I always remember this. I look back on it as almost quite a pivotal moment that probably he thought I was crazy at this stage, because I remember running down these stairs into the lobby of the hotel. I sort of grabbed this guy and I said, "Look, before you go, please tell me what I can go home and do." And he gave me one piece of advice, and that advice basically was to start a blog. And the following day, I'd opened up and started my own blog at deanholland.com. It was October 20th, 2008. I remember sitting there in my bedroom on this really beaten up old computer, The post actually states that I've tried for years and I've made nothing, and I was this guy that had been trying for so long and everything seemed so difficult to me. And I kind of really just declared in that blog post that I was going to be a success. I wasn't going to let this beat me, and I was going to continue to document everything on my blog, and that's basically what I did. Well, as much as I'd love to say, from the point of doing that blog post instantly I was successful, the reality is, things did start to happen, but it wasn't, instant success. What I actually did at this point, a few weeks after writing that blog post, the guy that I'd met at that seminar, he was actually opening up a coaching program, and started to learn directly from this guy, aside from that piece of advice he'd given me. And this was really, again, quite a big turning point for me, to directly learn from someone that was doing it. I mean, if I recall rightly, this guy was making like 20,000 a month or something online at this stage. So to actually start learning exactly what to do from someone that was doing it was a massive, massive thing for me. And literally, within about 5 weeks, I finally made that first dollar online. And I remember being at my construction job. I remember being at the head office, and as an affiliate, I got this email notification. I actually made, I can tell you exactly, it was a $249 commission. It was my first ever commission online. And in that week, I made exactly $1,729. You can imagine what a big eye-opener that was, a big turning point where I finally realised, not only can it be done, but I was doing it. And it just took off very, very quickly from that point. As soon as I'd proven to myself I could do it, and I finally knew what I'd done to get that result, literally, to sort of skip through the story, within 9 months I was able to quit that job. As things developed over time, I mean, we went on in 2010, we made over $600,000 that year in my business, and it was just a life-changing experience that was. I was in the construction job, broke, no one knew, in this horrendous situation, to within 18 months I'm in the Caribbean swimming with dolphins, having these life-changing experiences. Basically, I was working with a lot of people, as mentoring, coaching a lot of people on how to start their own businesses, and a lot of that was focused around how people could do research and go on to create and sell their own products. And I identified this real big problem, really, with a lot of people that we were working with. It just seemed too many people were struggling with that. Too many people were trying to follow this process and couldn't really successfully do it. There were people that did, but there was far too many people that couldn't, okay? So what I ended up doing was really starting to analyze a lot of these issues that people had. And what I came to the conclusion was that the major issues for a lot of people, particularly those starting out or not getting the results yet, was the technical aspects, setting up websites, and even down to, obviously, when you're not getting results yourself, or when you're in the earlier stages of your business, shall we say, the skills needed to be able to create a high quality product that can deliver a solution to somebody, you need to have the experience. You need to be of a certain experience level and have certain skills to be able to do that. And we realized that a lot of people were coming online, turning to the internet, just like I did many years back, just looking for ways to make some extra money. They didn't want to become necessarily an expert in creating products. They wanted to learn how they could build a business and make money online. So I started to realize that if we could provide a solution to people whereby we handed them everything they needed to be able to make those sales, to generate an income, then the likelihood of people being able to follow the steps to make those sales would be a lot easier than asking somebody to set up websites, build products, create all the processes. Instead, we hand them all those things. And this is what led on to, at the start of 2013, me launching an opportunity that's gone on to be very, very successful that we call iPro. It's a sort of a partnership program whereby we hand people everything they need, and we do most of what people need to do in order to build a business online. We have the products, we have the sales systems, we have the marketing processes. Everything is just done for them. And all that people within the program have to do is become good at generating traffic. So that's what we focus on. We hand them the ready-made business, and we teach them how to become good at driving traffic.